Okay, so we're back live. Let's close this. We have our two Pokemons. So we were talking about, yes, how we have this URL. We were able to extract these URLs from the Pokemon moves property that has an array of moves. Now we need to make a net request for every single one to get their PP. So we're seeing this console log happening 8 times, right? One for each move. So let's call our fetch function. Let's call our fetch function with the URL, and then the regular .then after response. This sort of response.json, .then data, and then here whatever we want to do with the data. So for now, let's do console log the data. This is going to be so for now, let's just console log the data. Let's see what we have. This might be an overwhelming amount of information because the data object is probably big too. But let's see what happens. Actually, I'm going to slow down the network for us to see something, which is, so I slowed down the network to slow 3G. I'm going to refresh the page. So now it's fetching some Pokemon. Now I got the 2 Pokemon. After that, it fetched. Oh, that wasn't that slow. Now we have this data here. These objects are the move objects. And here we have the accuracy of the move. We have the ID of the move. We have the name of the move, which we are interested in. So let's just do that like here. Also, since we know that this data is our move, let's change the name to move. And let's do, yes?
If you declare a variable in like previous fetch, you can use it in your one.
Like here?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where you're getting the URL.
Oh yeah, this URL came from here. So inside of this .then, so this is the fetch that will get the Pokemon, right? This is the fetch that fetches the Pokemon from the API, and then we receive the Pokemon here. Now the Pokemon has a moves array, a moves property. Then we loop over the moves array only 4 times because we only want the first 4. And then I extract the URL to this variable called move URL, and I extract it from here, right? The moves array at that move index, that move URL, right? And I save that URL here to my move URL function. Then I call the fetch move with the move URL. How many times will this function run? 4 for each Pokemon, right? Because we're calling 2 of fetch single Pokemon. So cool. So here we're console logging the move data, and this is a problem that you might have encountered, which is, well, I'm console logging 8 moves, and I could display them, but how do I know what moves belong to what Pokemon? Right? And how do we keep that association? Because how do we know that the first 4 will be for the first Pokemon, and the second 4 for the next one? Any ideas? Joy?
There's in the Pokemon data. Moves key.
Okay.
An array of all the moves.
So you mean, okay, I could. You mean like pairing up these moves that I got here with the moves that I originally had, like in this property? So sort of like pairing them again, or so that you know which ones are from which. So basically, the problem that we have here is that we need to remember what moves belong to what Pokemon. And also, like something that I intended by making the network slow is that this is all firing asynchronously. So when we have this this for loop runs 4 times, right? And it's gonna call this function, the fetch move, and this function immediately finishes because, well, this function in here, like this is the last line of the function, right? And what this is doing, this is returning a promise, right? And then we do that then so that whenever the promise is resolved, this executes. But move like the order in which they're fetched. Let's look at this. I guess hopefully we can see it here. Not sure. So here I'm gonna console log the moves for. Let's do here console log. No, I guess we already have. Let's console log the move URL here. And then after that, I want to console log a separator. Console.log. Just this separator. Yes. 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 No, we use 2. We use this one to get the Pokemon, and then the other one, the one for getting the moves, comes in the Pokemon that move URL. So the second URL is this one. So this is the first URL. This is to get the Pokemon, and the next URL that we need to get the moves is in here. In here there is a moves array. And every move has a URL. This is the second URL. This URL is what I'm extracting here. This is what I have in move URL here on my right. So I just need to feed that URL to fetch to make the network request for that one. Say that again? This one? Yeah, so this one is just, this is just the documentation for the moves, but this one is giving you the hint to get the moves by ID, yeah. Cool. So here I want to do that so that we see every single move URL. Oh, but I want to do this in here. Let's see if this makes sense. Remove this console log. Here, so we have these are the moves for the first Pokemon and this for the second Pokemon, right? You know what? Let's try this with the lower number. Let's try 2. Better number. So this is because it's slow. So 13, 14, and 33 is for the first one. 18 and 29 and 34. What I think is this, because this is all asynchronous, this doesn't mean, and we don't want to fetch one and then the other and then the third one. What we want to do is send a request to try to fetch them as soon as possible. And the fetching part, 14 might arrive before 13. And 29 might arrive before all the others. So let's see what we have. Let's see if, once we go to the network, we have the same stuff. So I'm going to clear it here. So network and console are all clear. Now let's go get Pokemon. We have 3, 8, and 13, then 13, 16, and 17. Let's look at this. So we have 3, 8, and 13. Then 13, 16, and 17. Okay, so they are in the same order. I was expecting them here not to be on the same order. And this order is not guaranteed. This is like the point that I'm trying to make, but it's sort of hard to see. In the case where you're fetching information from not one API, but maybe a second API, or if the API is low at certain endpoints, the order in which we see here the request being made matches the order in which they're being console logged, but they don't necessarily need to match. And it's more common that they don't match. Because, like these network requests are being fired on that for loop, on this for loop, as soon as this for loop runs. And this for loop takes no time to run, like four times. That takes no time to run. What we do here is the fetch move URL, the fetch move function will leave this callback for whenever the request succeeds, whenever the promise gets fulfilled. But we have no guarantee of the order in which it will happen and the time. Okay, so that aside, we still have the problem. So we were able to tell here which moves belong to which Pokemon. And then we need to display them. Once we fetch them, we need to display them underneath the respective Pokemon. So this is like one of the trickiest part, which is how do we display these moves directly under the corresponding Pokemon? Those of you that get to this part, how do you manage it? How do you solve it? There is a few ways, and I don't think there is a right and a wrong way, but it's just a few different ways. Yes, students?
I built variables and just pushed them into those directly.
Okay.
So that I wouldn't lose the information. So I ran into that problem. So well, how do I make sure it goes into HTML buckets in the HTML? This would catch them.
I see. Oh, you made like a div in the HTML ready to put there the list with the moves belonging to that Pokemon, right?
Actually, I didn't do it as a list. I ended up doing it as key tags.
Okay, that's fine.
But yeah, each move had its own div within which had a key tag for move one, URL one. Sort of, yeah.
I see. Okay, so anybody else? Any other ideas on how to approach this? Yes.
This is not like I come up with this on my own. I had no. But we basically just set a variable to an empty array, and then with that function, we basically took the information from the API, set it to a key tag that we created in one of the functions, and basically we had two functions which we call fetch move. That specific function within the two separate ones. So right now we have a single one and we have a double one. So you call that function within those, but first we need a variable with an empty string, an empty array, and then within that empty array you will put the inner tags, key inner tags that equal the moves that you return from the API, and then you have to also implement the index of that array. So you have to this general array that will work with both functions, and you have to specify that it's array that index I, that move that will be equal to the variable, let's say let code name equals that, and you will be using two things for both functions. Also, you will have to create a loop.
So that sounds, I think that sounds like Douglas' approach a little bit in more detail.
You have to create a loop that will help you randomly select those 4 moves.
Oh, right. In this case, we're not gonna get to do them randomly. We're just gonna do the first 4. The first 4.
That's what we did the first 4. We created a loop that Correct.
Mhm.
Instead of saying that length, we specify 4, adding it.
Got it. So that's basically what we have
Okay.
currently here.
I use
So let's get this back to 5. And so we're fetching the moves whenever we fetch a single Pokemon, right? And we have to fetch the moves whenever we fetch a single Pokemon because we'll need the Pokemon itself before we can fetch any of the moves. Because fetching the Pokemon gives us the URL for the next step, which is fetching more information about the moves. So here, let's do fetch move, and then let's do here, instead of console logging, what we want to do here is sort of like display, we want to display the move, right? So I'm going to create a function called display move. And to this function, I'm going to pass in the move. But I'm also going to pass in, and this is going to make us change our fetch move original. I'm also want to pass in the Pokemon that the move belongs to. Right. So I haven't written this function yet, but we're going to fetch the move, and as soon as the move, the response of fetching the move gets back, we want to display move. So for display move, const display move. Now passing the move here and the Pokemon here. Now note that this Pokemon needs to get from somewhere. So I thought some of you solved this problem by having a global variable where you put the Pokemon and the moves, and then all your code will have access to that. Another approach here will be passing into the fetch move, not only pass the URL, but also passing the Pokemon. And we're going to see why is it good to pass in the Pokemon here. In this case, we have the Pokemon in here, this guy. Pokemon. So to the fetch move, we want to pass in the move URL to do the fetch, and then we pass in the Pokemon too, the Pokemon object. Now we need this Pokemon because we need to remember to what Pokemon these moves belong to, right? And on the display move, what we want to do is target the moves list here, so which we did that in here, move list. I'm gonna add an ID here. We could do it without it, but let's just move list.id equal moves list, so that I target this list. I target this list in my display move, and I do that by doing const move list equal document that query selector moves list. Oh, that's an ID, so need to use that. Oh, but wait, we still have the problem of remembering to what move list to add this move that we get here. So we need to add. We need to know to what Pokemon card do we want to add the moves, to what Pokemon card. So in this case, let's use the ID that we gave to the Pokemon card, so that we do, also, since we haven't have a mistake here, which is we're giving an ID to the move list. Actually, this is wrong because we create two. We create two move lists, right? So maybe instead of here, if I still want to target, let's do class. Still want to target this one, but I want to target this one nested within one of the Pokemon cards. So I changed the ID here to a class, and then so for the display move, what we need to do is first grab the Pokemon card. How are we going to grab the Pokemon card? We're going to grab it by the fact that we gave the Pokemon card ID to be equal to the Pokemon.name. So we can just grab this here by saying const Pokemon card equal query selector that actually document. Where did it go? Query selector, and then here I'm going to pass in the Pokemon name. I'll need to do the hashtag before it. Let's do that with string interpolation, hashtag $, Pokemon .name. So this is why we need to pass in the Pokemon here, because we want to use the Pokemon name, which we gave to the div that will house that Pokemon. And then once we have this, actually we could just do it in one step, but let's just do it in two separate steps. Then I could do const, close that there, move list, but I want to now have the move list, the moves list, only, here's Pokemon card. Yeah, I want the moves list, but that is inside of, so here I'm querying, I'm sort of nesting the query selector. The query selector at the beginning here is searching for an ID with that Pokemon name in the entire document. But after I have that, this will be the Pokemon card, one of the two. After I have that, what I want to do is I want to search query selector. I want to search in that Pokemon card for something called moves list. So here, let's do. Let's try this. Console.log. Let's do Pokemon card.id. I want to console log the Pokemon card.id, and then I want to console log just the moves list. And so this function will run 8 times, 4 for each one. For every single one, we're gonna grab the Pokemon card from the DOM. Then we search in that Pokemon card the moves list, and we're just console logging it. Actually, let's just do console log Pokemon card and move list. Let's see what we have in here. I'm not using the move just yet. The move will be next. But here, so we have the fetch single Pokemon. Fetch single Pokemon will loop over the moves. For each one, calling fetch move, or for the first 4 in this case. Then we call, and then fetch move will do. Oh, this might be interesting. Fetch move will fetch the moves, and then once the moves arrive, every single one, we're going to display it. We're going to call this display function with passing in the move and the Pokemon. And that function is just gonna grab the Pokemon card, grab the move list within the Pokemon card, and console log it. So let's see what we have here. Refresh. Oh, network's too slow. And Pokemon is not defined. Oh, that's because I forgot to pass it here. So here to the fetch move, now we need to pass not only the URL but also the Pokemon. We put this back to online. So let's try now. And we have, so here, you see, for the first, this is doing it more than what we want. Let's try it with 3 for a manageable number. Here, so we have the first 3. The name of this is, or the ID that we give is Noibat, right? And the moves list is null. Oh, that's interesting. So and then so we see the move list is null here, but we see that now we have them sort of, what do you call that? Intermittent? No. The fact that Noibat goes first, then goes the other one, Noibat, and then the other one. But here, moves list is null. We have to look at why is moves list null. Maybe the ID that I gave. Oh, so it's a class. So let's try this. Let's try this in the console to verify. I'm going to paste this here. So first, call the Pokemon name, and we know that in this case there is one call Noibat. Now if we go to Pokemon card, we have Noibat here. Now what I want to do is Noibat that query selector moves list. No. So do we have this moves list should be nested within here. Oh, the thing is not working, the class is not working. We can see here. So that's why. We can see here that as I go to Noibat, we have this UL doesn't have the list, it doesn't have the class. So that means that I cannot really set the class just like this, I guess. Let's try something here, just as a test. What if I do Pokemon card? So Pokemon card doesn't have a class. Now it has a class list. So class is not really a property that we can just set like ID. You see, ID is a simple property that has that, but class, and this actually makes sense because you know that you can set more than one class on an element. So we don't have like a class. You see, this one is undefined. So I'm setting the class wrong. Anybody can help me set the class correctly? So because what we want, so we can see that Pokemon card has something called class list. And that is that. So for setting the class, I believe it's a function called set attribute. Class name? class list dot add, and I think this is another one. Set attribute class hello, and then if we do Pokemon.cart class list, yeah, now we have hello. So there is two ways. One is set attribute class. You want to set the attribute class to be equal to hello, or as Janet suggested, there is another way, which is Pokemon card class list dot append. Wait, append? Did you say add? Blah. Then let's do this again. Now we have two. We have hello and blah as classes. So let's do this one. I think this one is a little bit cleaner. Class list add. So in here, what we need to do, instead of moveless.class, as we discover, we need to do class list that add and add that function like that. Now let's come back here, refresh. Okay, so now we do have so for every single move, we are fetching in the Pokemon card and then the list underneath. We can see it here. Pokemon card and then the list. And then the next one so this one is for that one. Then this one, but you guys saw that how before we were getting them interleaved, or like look at it here. Scissor is the first one, and then we get the console log scissor. So that means that the first move belongs to scissor, and we see the list. And then we see two from scissor. After that, we move on to Politoed. I don't know what to do. Politoed? No. And then we see the move list from him. We see two move lists from him, and then the last one is still one that belongs to Caesar. This is what I was saying earlier about like the order is not guaranteed when you're doing asynchronous operations and running asynchronous code. Here, this will always be in the same order, but if we go here to the network, I think maybe now we have a different order. So it's 13, 14, and 15. And then 3, 5, and 8. Oh, okay. So I just remember something, which is the network will always show you the right order. What doesn't come in the same order is the response. The requests are going outside. The requests are being made in this order, right? Because we first request 13, then 14, then 15. But processing for the server or the API to process 13, it might take longer, and we might not see it yet. We might see that the request was made, but it might take longer. Actually, let's look at this section here. Preserve log. There's one section that will allow you to see the ordering, but I don't remember it. Yeah, so maybe it's here. Yeah, I'm not remembering that one, but show reviews, group by frame, never mind. So here, so once we have those, once we have the card that we want to append the move list to, and the move list to which we want to append the list, we can just do then display move instead of console login. In here, we're going to do const move li equal to document.createElement. want to create an li, and then I want to set the inner text. I want to set the inner text to the move.name. I think we have a name property in the move. Let's look at it here. This one, move preview. We have, yes, no, this is the name. This is the move. So yeah, so the move still has a name property with their name. And then next to that, we want to add maybe just like space pp plus, and here I'm just doing the old school string concatenation. And then we're interested in the pp, and we see that a pp here is another top level property. Let me comment. We see here that the pp is another top level property of the move. Then we can just do move.pp. And then after that, we want to make sure that we do moveless.append child and append that move li. So this function, display move, gets called every 8 times, 4 for each Pokemon, and that's because we're fetching the move for every single move that comes in the Pokemon object. So we first fetch the move. After the request has been successful, we get the move data here. We call display move with the move and the Pokemon to know to what Pokemon it belongs to. Then using the Pokemon name that we had used as an ID for the Pokemon card div, we grab the Pokemon card. Inside of the Pokemon card, we query for this selector. We query for the moves list. That will give us the corresponding move list that is inside of the Pokemon card. We create a move li where we put the name of the move and the pp next to it, and then we append the move li to the move list. If we refresh this, maybe we're gonna get the moves. Like I wish, let's try to slow this down. I want to see if give you a sense of network slow. Oh, I think I had slug, which was one that we created before. Let's look at this on here. So this is really slow, but we're gonna see the page hopefully being, so right now, so it finished with the first one. Oh yeah, this is taking, maybe this was too slow. This was because I slowed down the network. Oh, but it should display now, these 2 Pokemons that were done. Okay, there you go. So we got the first Pokemon. We have the HP. This is like super slow down. You see that the image has not arrived yet because the browser has to load the image from the image URL. That's gonna be another network request that the browser makes for us. So we got the 2 Pokemon. I feel like the next thing that's to load should be their images. We see that it was made the request. The request for the image was made. We can see it here. There we go. We got the first image. I want to see the moves. So this is the network activity so far. You can see that the network request for both image was made, This one has not arrived back because I slowed the network. The second image has not come back yet, but I think this is going to be too slow. I'm going to need to let's do 10. Let's try this again with slug. That's still too slow. Try 50. And then we got 1. This is the slow 3G. Let's see if we can find. This is low 3G. We got the 2. After that, we get the moves. No, we get the photos first, and then after that, the moves. The moves are still loading too fast for me. I'd like to see them appear one by one, but I don't think we're gonna get to see that. But like what I wanted to show you is that the sand attack might arrive first, and then after that, maybe ice punch arrives next. Yeah, in this case, we know that. Yeah, in this case, we cannot tell what order it arrived on. We know that this one arrived before this one. Here, let's see if we put. What if we put their ID? Let's do move that ID. I'm gonna add their ID here, and then we have the network request here. So here we get. Let's see if this makes sense. 20. If it's yeah, no, we cannot see this order still matches 20, 56, 57, 14, 15, and 20. But we got the moves. Questions, comments? We have now the moves for each Pokemon. Let's just do the battle for this button to work. But yeah, any questions? Anything that we should re-explain here? Let's remove this console logs. So it's all a chain of events. First we get the Pokemon, then after that we fetch single Pokemon. After that we have a for loop that for each one of the moves is going to call fetch move. And right after that it displays the Pokemon card. And then the fetch move will go to the API and retrieve the information from there. Once that has succeeded, we call the display move. The display move will take charge of adding these LI elements to the UL, to the corresponding UL. You may have done this logic differently. That's okay. So, questions, comments? Yes, do this.
Could you describe display move one more time?
Display move? Yeah, so display move here is a function that takes in two things. It takes in the move object and the Pokemon object. With those two, what it's going to do is going to get the Pokemon card from the DOM by using the ID that we have given them. As you can see here, we said the Pokemon card ID, we want to be the same as the Pokemon that name. So it grabs the corresponding Pokemon card by the fact that the name of the Pokemon and the ID are the same. And then it grabs the move list that it is inside of the Pokemon card by doing Pokemon card.query selector Moveless. So query selector is, you're able to do like nested queries, which is, in here query selector is only searching for something with class moves list inside of the Pokemon card. It will not search in the entire document. In here is searching in the entire document. So we do that to retrieve two things, the Pokemon card and the moves list that is inside of it. Then after that, we just create a move li, which is a list item. We set the inner text to the move name and the PP. And then we do move list data pin child move li. And this will end up appending the right moves to the right list, to the move list. And we have that. Yes. This is a great question. So yes, we want to separate. There is this thing in software, which I think some of you might have heard, and I think we have mentioned at least briefly. Separation of concerns. This is when you have one function do one thing, in this case fetching the information, and another function do the other thing, which is displaying it. So we're separating the two concerns. The two concerns are fetching, getting the information, and displaying the information. Yeah. And this one is tightly coupled to the single responsibility, which is a function should only do one thing. If it does two things, it becomes harder to understand, harder to debug in case of an error. We're separating the concerns here. The two concerns are fetching the data, and another concern is displaying the data. Cool, so let's do the battle real quick. So I think we had created this function battle Pokemon that gets fired whenever we click here. Yeah, we had created this function battle Pokemon, and here we have it as the listener for the battle Pokemon button. Then here, what we're going to do is battle the two Pokemon. Now here, what do we need to battle the two Pokemon? Well, we need the Pokemons themselves, right? So here, how could we pick one of them, one of the two? Yes, we want to do randomly. So we will want the function that Douglas mentioned, which is like a flip of a coin. Random winner picker, coin flip. And so there's a few ways in which we can do this. One is if we had two global variables for Pokemon A and Pokemon B, we could use this function here. We could just access those two and pick from one of those two. We could just have also the Pokemons could also be in an array, right? That array will just be two elements because we have two Pokemons, and then pick a random one from the array. Here I'm thinking that we could just grab them from the DOM. Again, instead of having a global variable, we could just grab the two Pokemon from the DOM, which we know are in the arena. Right? We know their names because we set their IDs, the IDs of these two elements. and we could just pick from one of those. So we want the coin flip function, and this is where we do const pick winner equal to a function pick winner. It turns out that this function will also use the math.floor, math.random to generate a number between 0 and 1. Right? That will be our coin flip, a random number between 0 and 1. Sometimes it will be 0, sometimes it will be 1. If you flip it again, it might be 1 again or 0. So for doing that, I need to use this again. So instead of having to write this again, I'm going to create a third function called random number get random number in range. And here, this function will expect two arguments, min and max. And I'm just gonna copy this line from here, paste it here. In fact, just like return this. To return math.floor, math.random. In here now we want just max. Wait, we had something else here. So we have just max minus min plus min. So we have a function get random number in range, min and max. And then instead of having this here, I'm just gonna call that function. I'm gonna pass in the min Pokemon and the max Pokemon ID plus 1, because remember that the max is not included. But in this case, 801 is a valid ID. We want to include 801, so we just added plus 1 here. And then because I outsourced that functionality to this function, I could just use this same function to pick a number between 0 and 1. In this case, we were picking a number between 1 and 809. But then, because I outsourced that to its own function, then I could do let const winner ID equal to no, not winner ID, winner index, because we're gonna have this. The number between 0 and 1 will be the index. We do get random number in range. We do 0 and 2. This will not include 2. It will be a number between 0 and 1, not including 2. That's why I picked 2 instead of 1. Yes. Sure. So we have this function get random number in range, right? This function will return actually I think I could run it here. Here. Console. I have a function get random number in range. If I pass in 0, this is the one that has math.floor, math.random inside. So I pass in 0 and 2. This is going to give me always a random number. See? It gave me 2 1s, 2 zeros. The next one is another 0. But it's always going to be a name in this range between 0 and 2, not including 2. Now we're using the same function for grabbing a number between 1 and 809. This will give us a number between this range, not including not including 801. So in fact here we will need to do like +1 if we want to include 809. In fact, yes. Why? Because this number in this case, when we're dealing with this range, this number will be a random ID. So in this case, we're using this function to get a random Pokemon ID.
So basically, what I understand.
Uh-huh.
If we get a random ID at the beginning,
Yeah.
and then a random ID at the bottom.
Uh-huh. So
That's the point I didn't understand because we already get an ID. And when around again another ID.
So the thing is, like, no, this is not a. So we were doing this. We were doing it. So we had this function. Initially, we have this function, pick random ID, right? And we have this. We had this logic. We had it here in the ID. Yeah, we had it like here. What I did was, well, we realized that we were doing this a few times. We were doing this logic here, math.floor, math.random, max minus min. We were doing it a few times. We will need to use it again for picking the winner. So what I did was took that logic to its own function that then I can reuse 2 times. It will be reused here. It will be used for the first time in here, get random number in range, right? This function will get called 2 times to get 2 random IDs for a Pokemon, right? So that's the first 2 times. And then after that, we just want to pick the winner from 2. We have 2 Pokemons currently, and we want to pick the winner from those 2. I can use the same function now, but not to generate a number between 1 and 809, rather generate a number between 0 and 1. So that, and then I'll use that as the sort of coin flip. Yeah, just do maybe coin flip result. So for now, let's do console.log coin flip result. So here, this is what we want to do. When we hit battle Pokemon, we want to do this coin flip to see who will win. And we're gonna say that the first element or the first Pokemon is 0 and the second one is 1. In here, their IDs are not 0 and 1, but for the purpose of the coin flip, we could just think that if the coin flip is 0, it's gonna be the first Pokemon. If the coin flip is 1, it's gonna win. The second one is going to be the winner. So let's do this by do console. No. Do const. Also, I want to console log here. Not console log. Return the coin flip result. All right, here. Let's just do. Here, I want to call the pick winner. So when I click the battle Pokemon button, I'm going to call the pick winner function. That function will do the coin flip and return the coin flip. Let's do winner is. Let's do here fetch winner equal pick winner. So let's see this. As soon as I click this button, this function will run. The battle Pokemon will run, and then the pick winner will run. We save the result of the pick winner, which will be a number between 0 and 1, to this variable, and then we should see this in console. Let's try this. Refresh this. Let me clear this. Refresh. And then we just click battle. Again, the winner is 0. Battle again, the winner is 0. One more time, the winner is 0. And then the winner was 1. From time to time, we'll flip. So this is the flip in the coin. 0 is like heads and 1 is tails. And then we could say this is 0 and this is 1, or we could say the opposite. This is up to us to decide which one will be the winner. But we want it to be random. That's the thing. For that, we created this function that gets a random number in that range. We use that function to simulate artificially a coin flip, right? By generating a random number between 0 and 1, we'll use that as the whoever wins. Okay, so there is one reason why I picked 0 and 1. Besides being sort of intuitive for a flip coin, just the first two numbers, 0 and 1. That reason is because, well, we have here, I could do document, let's grab the Pokemon card. Let Pokemon card equal to query selector. Or actually, I want to grab the arena. Document queries arena. I have this. This is the arena, right? Now the arena has 2 children, 2 Pokemon cards. Right? One is Sawsbuck and Galvantula. So here, it turns out that the arena element, or the DOM node, has a property called children, or child element count. For instance, this one gives me 2, right? It has 2 children. And there's one that is going to be more useful, called children. So we can see here all the properties that have like child in their name. Children, first element child node, append child, first child. So we can look at here children. We see that in the children, we have an HTML collection. This looks like an array. It might not be an array. And we see 2 elements here. We see this div and that other div. So here, because this is a list, we could use arena at children 0. And that one gives us the first one, right? That gives us the first one. If I do arena children at index 1, that gives us the second one. Right? I think arena children node. Children node, I think this one is a little bit, this is the same. Well, this is a node list. They're not technically the same. This is a node list, and this one was HTML collection. But both have what it looks like an array, and we could access the indices. This is index 0. This is index 1. So this is the underlying reason why I picked 0 and 1 for the coin flip. This will be no different if you have a global variable that is called like Pokemon, where you push to each Pokemon as they arrive. Now here, now that we have the coin flip result, and that's going to be the winner, we can just do, so to get the node list from which we're going to pick the winner, which is this, we're just going to do arena.child node. Let's do that by arena. Let's grab the arena, then document that query selector. That was an ID arena. And then we can just do winner actually the winner, I would like to be, instead of the ID, no, let's just do this. Arena.child node, children node, child nodes at winner. And this is our winner. So in this case, we could do something like, here we could do something like, let's do let winner Pokemon and let's do something like winner Pokemon that let's do styles. This is just sort of a demonstration. Styles that background color equal green. This is something that we could do, which is whoever is the winner, let's paint the background green of that one. This is sort of another option. Let's try it. Let's try this. Have that. Refresh this here. Let's go to the bottom. Let's click on battle. Oops. Background color of undefined. Style. There. We were coloring whoever was the winner, but there is a problem with this. Well, one, we're not doing the battle history yet. The problem with this is that if I click it again, you might get that the second one, we're not preventing a second battle here, basically. And if I click it again and it turns out that the next one wins, then both will be wins. So far, the one on the left has always been winning. Now the other one won. That one got green too. But instead of doing this, what we want to do is actually just say add to the battle history, basically. And then here we'll just grab the battle history, which was footer. Let's do let footer equal to document query selector footer. Once we have that, let's create a new p tag. Let not sure what to call this one. Let's just call it battle result equal document that create element p. And we're gonna see an interesting thing here. Then battle result will be battle result that inner text is going to be equal to whoever was the winner Pokemon dot ID. Remember that we put the name of the Pokemon as the ID of the div. So let's do this for now. And then let's just append footer that append child battle result. So let's try this. I remember to remove this background thing. Refresh. Let's see what we have. As we click on battle, we saw that was the winner. We click it again, that's the winner again. 3 times in a row, 4 times. There, the other guy won. So at least we're showing the winner. But how do we show winner defeats opponent? We'll need a way to tell who the other one was. So you'll have to, winner can be one of 0 and 1, right? So we'll need to check which one is, and the other one will be the let's call it let. Let's do this defeated. No, I'm not sure. Defeated. So we can do this. Let's do this in a ternary operator. If the winner was the first one, index 1, then that means that the defeated is 0. Otherwise, the defeated is 1. This is saying if the winner is 1, then that means that the defeated is 0. This is like the then. Otherwise, well, that means if winner is 0, then the defeated is 1. We could do an if statement. This in an if statement will be, let me just copy this. We could just initialize this one as that. So if winner equal 1, then that means the defeated is the other one. And we could also default this one to 1. But else, defeated is 1. This is the same thing as this if statement. Let's just leave the if statement. Same as if below. So if the winner is the first one and the defeated is the second one, and then here we could just do winner Pokemon. We will also need the loser, I guess. Defeated. Just do instead of winner here, we do defeated. And then for the inner text here, we can just say winner Pokemon defeats defeated Pokemon. Let's try what we have now. Refresh. Battle. Oh, this is interesting. Fion defeats HTML div element. So what did I do wrong here? Yes, input there. .id. Remember that the name of the Pokemon, we set it as the ID of the div. So here, basically, I'm trying to put as the inner text the div element entirely. So try to refresh this. Battle. We have the inner defeats the other guy. Same. Now the opposite. And so on. As I fetch a new Pokemon, the battle history remains. Now we battle this time. Raichu defeated the other guy. Battle again. Raichu wins again. Oh, this is interesting. Cool, but this is pretty much it. Well, you want to prevent battling the same Pokemon more than one. But we're not gonna get into that at the moment. But here, what can I explain more or again on this one? If your code looks very different from this, that's okay as long as it gets the job done. You will want to separate your code into the functions that we did here. So we did this. Create Pokemon card, we did that. We did the battle of the Pokemon by selecting a random winner and updating the battle history. So here, this is an example, for instance, for the battle Pokemon that we divided here into two conceptual steps. Let's see the battle Pokemon function. Yeah, we still have it sort of in the two-step, which is first we pick the winner randomly. That is this function that does sort of the coin flip. And then for updating the battle history, we have sort of this other code that we could just take out to its own function here as well, saying like update battle history. And yeah, this is pretty much it. There's some edges that we don't get to cover since we want to review other stuff too. So what else? Let's take a 5-minute break, and then once we get back, we get to talk about all this.